Miss A say fiasco is a recipe for social upheaval. Article by ABBEY MAKOE. This week's training statement on social media, purporting to originate from former DEA parliamentarian Phumzile Vantam, reveals the depth of the rot that plagues our public governance system. The social media post emerged in the wake of the controversy surrounding Miss South Africa former contestant Chidimma Adetshina. The furore over Adetshina's participation in the pageant triggered a swift Department of Home Affairs investigation into the authenticity of her citizenship. At lightning speed, the department publicly communicated in the findings, revealing its prima facie evidence of fraud by Adetshina's mother that had led to her acquisition of South Africa's citizenship. 24 hours later, Adetshina announced her withdrawal from the pageant. Now, it is not my intention to have a go at Adetshina. If her citizenship is unlawful, as the Home Affairs officials have found, the guilt had been traced to the mother and not to the child. She probably grew up in South Africa, attended school here, learned the culture and languages, and grew up to become an honest, hard-working young woman with guts and determination to follow her dreams. That circumstances beyond her control have caught up with her as she was reaching for the stars in a matter of great personal shame. But the whole saga has lit the torch of South Africa's perennial nightmare, porous borders. Additionally, the ease with which South African identity documents can be fraudulently acquired has caused our country's image and reputation to take a massive beating in the international arena. The UK was among the first developed economies to impose restrictions on travelers from South Africa, requiring a visa application when none was required for many years. Immigration is an inevitable consequence in a globalizing world where movement of people is necessitated by a myriad of factors that include conflicts, persecution, and economic hardships. From time immemorial, human beings have moved from one corner of the universe to the other. The role of effective immigration management starts with borders that are strictly guarded and controlled, where graft and underhanded dealings have no place. When corruption becomes a norm, as is the case of South Africa border control, hordes of illegal immigrants inevitably overwhelm the country's public governance systems. The majority of illegal immigrants unavoidably become a social nuisance. In South Africa, where scores of immigrants are undocumented, criminality is almost impossible to resolve as traceable offenders run amok with impunity. It does not matter how efficient police fingerprinting could be if offenders are not in the national database at the Department of Home Affairs. Criminals are guaranteed a hell of good time. The depths of corruption in our governance system were aptly captured by the social media post allegedly by Ms. Van Dam, a one-time DA parliamentary firebrand who served in the powerful Portfolio Committee on Communications. She left the party's high echelons acrimoniously. As said, I'm taking an interest mainly in the context of the post more than its alleged author. For those who might have missed the post, it read, "I'm a Swaziland citizen by birth and hold dual citizenship for both South Africa and Swaziland. I couldn't be an MP in the country of my birth, but was able to effortlessly become an MP in South Africa. I can challenge anyone anytime who can claim that the DA has strict vetting process, because even now they have a lot of foreigners within their ranks who are holding public office, councillors, mayors, MECs, MPs, and even ministers. In fact, South African intelligence is weak and poor, hence a lot of foreigners are even occupying high offices in both the private and public sectors. Illegal foreign nationals are getting government bursaries, jobs, houses, free healthcare and social grants. Not long ago, during her tenure as Health MEC of Limpopo, Dr. Popira Matuba, who is the current premier of the province, lost her marbles and let rip into the illegal immigrants in the maternity ward who had only recently jumped the border to come and give birth in South Africa, and thereby benefits from the stretched healthcare services. Morally, health facilities cannot turn away patients at the door who knock to seek medical assistance. As I indicated earlier, the challenge for our hospitals inland emanates from the porous borders and corrupt activities there. I'm actually aware of the South African authorities to make an effort to turn the tide, as seen by the recent imprisonment to 12 years of one Miss Zuma, who was convicted of issuing nearly 200 fraudulent ID cards to illegal immigrants. The ramifications of such corrupt activities are far-reaching and impactful. Such recipients and fraudulent ID books could, if undetected, participate in the country's electoral processes where citizens elect their public office bearers. At worst, illegal immigrants could end up running the public office themselves and successfully. In Johannesburg's CBD, once the country's respectable economic heartbeat, most buildings have been hijacked by brazen illegal immigrants who have turned them into the hubs of illegal activities. In fact, most of the languages on the notice board are foreign. None of South Africa's 12 official languages feature in such hijacked buildings, and spoken languages on arrival serve as a stark reminder of how regressive South Africa's democracy has been. But it is not only the public servants who should shoulder the responsibility for the rot that plagues our society. As the social media post, allegedly by Ms. Van Dam, points out, inside the DA party office bearers with questionable credentials are having a mighty good time. When the Government of National Unity was recently founded, question marks were raised over one or two DA ministers' citizenship status. But as always, the questions have quickly fizzled out. It is business as usual. Even inside the leading ANC, there has been many questions raised over the authenticity of past and present ministers and public office bearers. This is a headache not only for the country's borders control authorities. It is a melody that has permeated every sphere of our lives. From next-door neighbors to colleagues, especially in the higher education sector, too many foreigners do work that unemployed South Africans could and should be doing. This is a great pity. To think of the history of our nation and the struggles for freedom waged by our forebears, it is heartbreaking that a growing number of black people have begun to miss the good old times of the Bantustans. It does not mean they are blind to the horrors of apartheid. I believe their expressions are a reflection of the extent of their disappointment in our new rulers. Very easily, the new Miss SA 2024 could have been an illegal immigrant had no alarm been raised. Other examples of our democracy's disorders, faults, and progress include the hospitality industry that is dominated by illegal immigrants who are hired ahead of the locals because it is easy to trample on their labor rights. The art of workers' exploitation extends to the construction industry that is notorious for hiring illegal immigrants. So is the agricultural sector, particularly on the farms, and the trucking industry that can be a nightmare on our national roads. But the trophy must go to the Department of Higher Education, which has a knack to appoint foreigners as principals and vice-chancellors when the skill set can be found ubiquitously across the length and breadth of Azania. For the record, I'm not opposed to foreigners being hired in any positions in South Africa. However, the citizens of the land whose forefathers and foremothers paid an ultimate price so the present and future generations could lead better lives deserves to be prioritized. Unless and only if skills cannot be sourced locally, legislation must compel both the public and private sectors to start looking outside of our borders as a last-ditch measure. South Africa is credited with a raft of progressive laws. However, as many would agree, our government's ability to implement its own laws leaves much to be desired. Unless we get our house in order, nay, our country soon will have a president who is an illegal immigrant. Watch this space. I'm not being xenophobic. Every nation must ensure the orderly movement of all people, and an effective immigration control system is a prerequisite. This is a fundamental requirement in the determination of how national budgets are worked out and resource allocations rolled out. Pardon me for crying out loud, but to allocate government housing to illegal foreigners at the expense of disparate and destitute South Africans languishing in squalor and filth in overcrowded townships is a sure recipe for social upheaval. Forewarned is forearmed. ABBEY MAKOE is founder and editor-in-chief, Global South Media Network. And that's it from Injibs Crime. Stay tuned for SA Crime and correctional updates.